Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. In this occasion, I would like to do a journal review, and the title is "What Does Language Assessment Literacy Mean to Teachers?" This research was conducted by Vivian Berry, Susan Sheehan, and Sonia Munro. Okay, let's get started. The first one, the aims. So, this research gave the stated clearly about what the aims or what their objectives. The first one is to gain a greater understanding of teachers' knowledge of assessment, and the second one is to use the knowledge gained from the observation and discussion to develop training materials which meet teachers' actual stated needs. So this study will be focused on the first aim, which is to gain a greater understanding of teachers' knowledge of assessment, more than the second aim. It is because the discussion to develop training materials about assessment is beyond the scope of this article. Okay, move to the next one is research question. Again, this research gave the a clear statement about what is their question, so we don't have to find in paragraphs. The first one is, what are teacher attitudes to assessment activities? And the second one, how confident do teachers feel about engaging the assessment activities? The third one is, how confident do teachers feel about engaging in testing? And the fourth is, what impact does assessment have on the classroom? So we can see from the research question here that it is only focused on what teachers believe and what is their knowledge, their attitudes about assessment. Okay, the next will be data collection. Before we jump into the data collection or how did the author collect the data, we have to know that this research is qualitative research, which means we will not find numbers or statistics in this study. And this research, like I've already said before, investigated about teachers' practice and beliefs and their attitudes towards assessment. And this research consists of 3 stages. The first one is individual interviews, and the next one is classroom activities with follow-up interviews, and the last one is focus group. In first stages, which is individual interviews, the author interview one by one the teacher, and they try to find out about what training this teacher had received and what is the impact of this assessment training in their practice in classroom. And then in second stage, the author tried to observe what assessment do usually these teachers use, and in follow-up interviews they try to find out about what teachers' attitudes about assessment and how is their opinion about testing. And then the last one is focus group. In focus group, the authors divide those teachers into 5 groups and try to do some debates and discussion. And the aims of the focus group is to find out about its aims is to find out about the previous stages. Is it typical or there is more knowledge of them? So this stage is try to find about additional insight. Okay, the next one is data analysis. In data analysis, the author gathered 16 hours of oral discussion. It's quite a long time because there are 54 of teachers that being interviewed. And then the second is they use they used a software named Atlas Tape to code the data. And then the last is they use Davis framework components, which is skills, knowledge, and principles. In skills, they try to find out about what teachers scale, like how do they make questions, and then how do they interact with their students. And then for knowledge, they try to find about the measure language. So how the teachers measure the test, the exams, or the question, or the assessment. Okay, and the principals try to find out about teachers' attitudes, what is their language test, and etc. And then the next is the results. So the result, I already gathered some result here. The first one is teachers had received little or no formal training of assessment. Yes, they had very little information about assessment, and they have no formal training of assessment. And then personal school experiences taught them. Yes, so because they didn't get formal training, they use personal experiences. Like we may know the quote like we teaching as we were taught, and testing as we were tested. Yeah, and then they just use a range of assessment techniques. Yes, from the result we can say that they use many range of assessment techniques, such as self-assessment or peer assessment. And then they tend to do assessment with tests and exams. Yeah, so they don't use like presentation and give feedback. They mostly use tests and exams as assessment. And then they categorizes their assessment as good teaching. And this will be related to the last, teachers confused of the concept between teaching and assessment. Yes, they find the teacher find that between teaching and assessment, they don't know the differences between it. So they think assessment is good teaching, like giving feedback or giving applause or giving correction. They thought it was good teaching, so they didn't think it is as assessment. The next is the results from research question. From research question number 1, which is what are teacher attitudes to assessment activities, the author find that assessment considered negatively. Why? Because the teacher, like I have already said before, cannot distinguish between assessment and testing. So they think assessment as testing, and they consider testing as negative. So they consider assessment as negative as well. And then the second one is how confident do teachers feel about engaging in assessment activities. The answer will be same between for this is question number 2 and this is question number 3, and which is the first one, the teachers find it difficult to engage in assessment process. Yes, and I also remember some teachers said they felt blindfolded when they have to think about assessment process, and when they asked to design assessment process, so they don't know how to design it or how to conduct it in class. And then the second is some teachers suggested to their students that all that matters is test scores. Yes, some teachers still use the teaching method that highlight more about test score. So they only teaching about what will be tested. They don't teach about maybe the attitudes or the principle of the lesson of the subject. Yeah. And then the research question number 4, what impact does assessment have on the classroom? The answer is assessment has a huge influence on the classroom, and this influence is not always positive, so some of them is negative. Because yeah, like I said before, some teachers only uh, think about test scores. Okay, for further research by using a theoretical gap, I would like to propose about finding and observing why teachers have low understanding about assessment, although they already attended higher education and passed their college. Did they don't pay enough attention? And then attention, or were the system that broken, or was it simply because our nature? Yeah, I become interested about this kind of research. I want to know more about why the teacher don't know how to assess, how to do an assessment to their students. How do they consider testing as assessment, while the fact that is two different cases. And I also want to know about why they didn't know about it. Was it just I want to know the reason. Was it because they don't pay attention? Because all of them already passed higher education. They all get a bachelor degree. So in college, we already thought about we're being taught about assessment, right? Like we are studying now. So why did they don't know about it, even though they already passed college? And was it just simply because our nature that we heritate the teaching method from our previous teachers, so we don't care or we don't pay enough attention about making assessment design? I think that is all from me. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.